There is a ghost in Tomas Alfredson's The Snowman. It's not the spectral serial killer haunting Oslo's winter streets, but the phantom of the film that could have been a chilling atmospheric Nordic noir that flickers briefly in the margins before the entire structure collapses into incoherence. Based on Joe Nesbo's best-selling novel, the film follows Detective Harry Hole, a brilliant but self-destructive alcoholic, as he pursues a killer who leaves Snowman as his calling card at crime scenes. On paper, this was prestige material. A beloved director fresh from Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, an A-list cast, and a haunting visual palette of Norway's endless winter. Yet what reached screens felt less like a completed film and more like evidence from a crime scene where the movie itself was the victim. The production's troubles are legendary and fundamental to understanding the final product. Director Tomas Alfredson arrived on set to discover that approximately 15% of the script had never been filmed due to a catastrophically compressed shooting schedule. Key sequences establishing character motivations and plot logic, particularly involving Val Kilmer's character, simply didn't exist. Editors had to work with what Alfredson called a jigsaw, where 30% of the pieces are missing, attempting to construct coherence from fragments. This wasn't merely a matter of missing scenes, but of missing atmosphere. Alfredson, a master of chilly, deliberate pacing, reportedly intended to build the same oppressive, snow-blanketed dread that made his previous films so distinctive. Without the time to establish Oslo as a character, its isolating whiteness, its claustrophobic darkness, the setting becomes mere backdrop rather than the psychological landscape it needed to be. Consider the film's most successful element. Its visual conception of winter. Cinematographer Dion Beebe captures Norway not as picturesque, but as suffocating. The snow doesn't sparkle but absorbs light. The days are perpetually twilight. This should have been the film's foundation. An environment where the cold isn't just weather but a state of being, where the snowman isn't a childhood symbol but something uncanny emerging from the blankness. Instead, the editing, forced to bridge narrative gaps, creates a frantic pace that betrays the material's essence. Scenes that should breathe with ominous silence are cut short. Transitions feel abrupt rather than ominous. The atmospheric tension Alfredson excels at requires patience, the slow accumulation of detail, but the final cut feels perpetually rushed, as if trying to outrun its own missing pieces. Michael Fassbender's Harry Hole embodies this contradiction. In his quieter moments, staring into a whiskey glass, standing alone in a crime scene's aftermath, we glimpse the performance that might have been a man whose brilliance and self-loathing are two sides of the same coin. But without the connective tissue of his investigation's progression, his insights feel unearned. Is alcoholism a trait, rather than a tragedy? The film's central theme concerns the haunting persistence of the past, how childhood trauma, eternal failure, and abandoned crimes resurface like something buried in snow. The killer's motivation, when finally revealed, touches on this powerfully. He's avenging maternal abandonment, creating a perverse family through murder. It's classic Nordic noir territory, where societal coldness breeds personal pathology. Yet this theme remains underdeveloped, mentioned rather than explored. We're told about Harry's father issues, about the killer's childhood, but we don't feel their weight. The script gestures toward the idea that the snowman represents something preserved, a memory, a grievance, an identity, waiting to emerge when conditions are right. But like so much in the film, it remains a fascinating idea, searching for a scene to give it life. The supporting cast highlights what was possible. Rebecca Ferguson as Katrine Bratt brings fierce intelligence to her limited screen time. Her character's personal connection to the case suggests a parallel investigation that might have deepened the themes. J.K. Simmons, as a wealthy businessman with secrets, delivers his scenes with such contained menace that we mourn the subplot that might have connected him more meaningfully to the whole. Perhaps most telling is the film's treatment of its victims. In effective thrillers, victims aren't just plot devices, but representations of what's at stake, the vulnerability the killer exploits, the society failing to protect them. Here, they register barely at all, which undermines the investigation's urgency and reduces the killer's pattern to mere mechanics rather than pathology. The infamous ending, abrupt, confusing, emotionally unmoored, isn't just a failure of resolution, but a symptom of the entire enterprise. Without the proper build-up, Harry's final confrontation lacks catharsis. The themes of paternal legacy and cyclical violence land with a thud rather than a chill. We're left not with haunting ambiguity, but with narrative confusion. What makes The Snowman particularly fascinating as a case study is its proximity to quality. This isn't incompetence across the board, but a series of talented people working at cross purposes under impossible constraints. You can see the good film in the margins, in a perfectly composed shot of a lone figure in a white landscape in Fassbender's weary eyes, in the unsettling design of the killer's snowmen. Ultimately, The Snowman serves as a stark lesson in how atmosphere alone cannot sustain a narrative. Atmosphere must be earned through coherent storytelling, through characters whose journeys we follow step by step through the snow. When those steps are missing, the atmosphere becomes merely decorative, a beautiful, empty landscape where nothing truly coheres. The film's legacy may be as a cautionary tale about the fragile ecosystem of filmmaking, where scheduling, script development, and editorial vision must align to create something whole. But in its best moments, few and scattered as they are, it still hints at the chilling, thoughtful thriller it might have been. A ghost story, not about a killer, but about the movie that vanished somewhere in the storm of its own making. Thank you for watching until the end. We pour our passion into every single video essay, exploring the stories behind the movies we all love. If you stumbled upon this video by chance, there is a very high probability you might never see our channel again in your feed. So please, take a moment to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and ring the bell. We are actively growing this community of cinema lovers, and your support is what helps us make our content better and more insightful every single day. Let's explore the magic of filmmaking together. See you in the next one.